Diane. Welcome to Biters.
This is Marnell, and you've got the Real Housewives of Alaska again.
Oh, man. And one Real Housewife is getting a sinus infection, and the other Real Housewife has a headache, so everybody bear with us. Okay, so go ahead.
I'm all hopped up on cold medicine. I'm fine.
So we are podcasting episode 5 of season 7 called Go Getters. How did you rate it?
I rated it a 3.3 placentio abruptions.
We'll talk about that more. So I saw that Brian rated it a 3. I rated it a little higher than both of you because I thought it was a good, strong effort.
Which goes with what we usually do. It's usually Brian's the lowest, I'm Swiss, and you're like, right. 5 stars.
So I gave it 3.5 out of 5 Wyatt twerps. Thank you very much, Kevin Smith, for that hilarious, awesome. Hilarious trending hashtag.
Yeah.
And I actually really agreed with Brian. I know the world is coming to an end. I actually asked him if he wanted to sign a petition for me, and he politely declined. So I thought it was a good foundation episode, and we talked about it a little bit before he posted his first look. So for me, a foundation episode is exactly like this. You can see where it's going. You can see the purpose. It's not like whiz-bang exciting, you know?
Right, but this wasn't like any of the other foundation episodes for me. It wasn't a middle book episode for me because maybe it was just because, Jesus is such a great character. I love any screen time you can give Jesus,
He is the new Rick and the new Daryl.
Yeah, he's the new guy to watch, which is really good because our guys right now are not doing so hot.
Yeah, they're kind of having a rough time, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, for me, the things that you call like middle book, those are almost more filler. And for me, there's a big difference between filler and foundation. I mean, there are a few episodes where I'm like, really? The Cell was not great. I didn't like that,
Yeah.
But this one I can see more as foundation than filler.
Right.
Is that kind of how you're talking about middle book episodes?
Middle book is always, for me, there's some filler, but there's also setting up for, the big ending. So.
Okay. So you rated middle book a little higher than like filler.
Yeah. So without Jesus in this episode, I think it would have probably been like maybe a 2.8, 2.9.
Well, I have tons of numbers since you and Brian once again failed to report the numbers.
I could not find the numbers. You are the number wizard.
No, you know who is the number wizard? Jeff Marsick, who hosted this with Kirk. He always had the numbers handy, and it can be a real struggle sometimes to find the numbers. So kudos to Jeff.
Yeah, especially on not big episodes. Right. Like I'm sure, season premiere and season finales or mid-season finales, things like that. I'm sure, everyone's got the numbers the next day and the next couple of days.
And we're like 3 episodes from the mid-season finale, aren't we?
Something like that.
I think it's usually episode 8.
I was going to say we've got 16 episodes this season. So... yeah, we've got Swear, Sing Me a Song, Heart Still Beating, and that's it.
Oh my God. So 3 episodes until the hiatus.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, well, the numbers, the numbers are interesting. They have definitely dropped in same-day views since the season premiere. But when you add in the Live Plus 7 or even the Live Plus 3, the numbers get back to what we're much more used to. So, for example, The Cell, 11.7 million people watched it live. But when you add the Live Plus 7, so all the people who DVR'd and watched it within 7 days, it went up to 17.7. So still pretty respectable.
Wow.
I shouldn't say pretty respectable because there are still series, Our Beloved Preacher, for example, that are striving to meet 2 million same day views.
Right.
So it's amazing. It's just not as high as we've seen in previous seasons.
That's still a lot of people
Oh,
to get
yeah.
plunked down in front of the TV at any one time to do anything. So,
Well, and service was roughly equivalent. So there were 11.4 same day views. And then you added 4.8 in Live Plus 3. I don't even have the Live Plus 7, but it was a 43% gain in Live Plus 3. So
nice.
I betcha it's going to be up right around the same numbers in Live Plus 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're not going to see the big numbers until mid-season finale.
Well, and because you and I have been kind of pokey getting this one out, I even have numbers for go-getters.
Woohoo!
So same day view was 10.99 million. So basically 11 million.
11.
Which kind of puts it right around where the other episodes have been. So, what'd you think about the title?
I think it was pretty straightforward. Yeah. They even said that Rick's group are real go-getters, you know. So, I think you could say that Rick's group, even in Hilltop, are go-getters. So, it's pretty on the nose.
So it sounds like that, to me, that sounds like a total Negan expression to say, yeah, they're real go-getters.
Oh, yeah.
And I really felt like the guy who plays Simon was channeling his inner Negan.
Well, everyone is Negan. I mean, yeah, who they are. I'm Negan.
But, you know, I actually thought, okay, I should really look up what go-getters means. And it actually has like 3 kind of connotations, which I thought was really interesting because each of those connotations was represented by different characters in this episode. So it can be someone who's like a big success story, kind of a high flyer. It can be a bigwig. It can be a person of action. So actually there's 4 connotations that I wrote down. And then deal maker or a hustler.
Huh. Those are a lot better than the connotation that Simon kind of used it in. He kind of used it as, yeah, they're real good lapdogs.
Right. And so he was kind of looking at he wasn't even really looking at any of those any of those definitions, which I think is really interesting. You know, when I think of like the high flyer, the success story, I'm not quite sure who to put there. Gregory is certainly the bigwig.
Yeah.
Our girls are the women of action, and then our deal makers and hustlers are the saviors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of cool.
I would actually peg Gregory as a deal maker and hustler.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. I could totally see him being a hustler, and you know, he's trying to make a deal with them, and he tried to make a deal with Alexandria, and look how that turned out. So don't quit your day job.
So who's our high flyer or success story? I can't really picture anybody in that. I think they're all just too beaten down right now.
Yeah, I mean, the only one I would say is Negan, and you know, Rome is going to fall at some point.
Right. We certainly hope so. So just really fast, writer and director. The writer was Elizabeth Channing Powell. She goes by Channing Powell. We've talked about her before, so I'm not going to really dig deep there. But this was kind of cool. The director is also a woman. Her name is Darnell Martin. She's only previously done films as far as her bio showed. And the only one that I really recognized was Their Eyes Were Watching God, because I'm familiar with the novel that it's from. I want to say it's Nora Hurston Zeal. But this is kind of cool. Her studio debut, where she actually wrote and directed a film for a major studio, she was the first Black American woman to write and direct a film for a major studio.
Wow.
Yeah. What year
was that?
Well, you know, here's my little social commentary, right? Quite sadly, it took us until 1994 to get there. But we got there.
Yeah.
So I was really kind of shocked, you know. Quite frankly, I was expecting a just your random white dude when I saw the name. Okay, who do you think I chose as featured cast member?
Jesus?
No, you wish.
I put my faith in him.
All right, now you're starting to sound like Jesse Custer. I think I'll have to let you and Bri talk about Jesus when you podcast with him next.
Okay.
Or if you and I podcast together next week, you can do Jesus. Ooh, that came out wrong.
It's got to be Simon then.
No, I thought about it, but I actually, for Thomas O'Mara and for his Just Survive Somehow tattoo, I picked Enid.
Ah.
So there you go, Thomas O'Mara. That still really is a cool tattoo, and I love Caitlin Nacon's expression when she looks at it. So that's her name. She's a young lady named Caitlin Nacon. She was born in June of 1999, so that makes her 17.
You know, her and Chandler Riggs are only 16 days apart.
No way, really?
Yep.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I looked it up because their whole first kiss, I was like, I wonder if either of them is older than the other. If this is, like, weird for one of them. Like, you know, one's, like, 15 and the other's, like, 22.
Oh, yeah, that would be icky and squicky.
They're 16 days apart.
Oh, that's cool. Well, so she apparently has always been a performer. She liked ballet. She started in musicals. And she decided at the age of 13 that she wanted to be an actor. So that's a big commitment very young.
It's working out for her.
Yeah, no doubt. The first thing that they had in her bio on IMDb was, she's a star of the #1 rated cable drama, The Walking Dead. And I was like, well, that's pretty good cred to have at 17.
Yeah.
I thought the other thing that was really cool, because it totally made me think of Emily Kinney, who I know Brian does not love, but I do. Caitlin Nacon is a singer-songwriter.
Huh.
And she released her first EP last year, and it was called Love in May.
Huh. I wonder why it doesn't get more play. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, people just don't know, right? I mean, I love Emily Kinney's music, and I didn't really look for anything until just before Beth was killed. I mean, I started to really look for what she was doing right before that episode. And I think it was really the episode in the funeral home where she's playing piano for Daryl. That was when I really started looking hard.
Yeah.
And now she's got 3 albums out, and I really just cherish each one of them for what they are. I really enjoy them.
She had a couple of scenes where she sang on the show.
Yeah.
They haven't done that to Enid, so.
I don't think they will, because there were so many people who were like, all right, enough already, stop with the singing.
Well, and Enid, that just doesn't seem like her character either.
It does not.
She's not one to, like, sing to people to soothe them or anything.
Right. And she doesn't have Herschel saying, Bethy, give us a song. So just a couple more things about Caitlin Nacon. Her first on-screen time was in an indie film called Loving Generously. She had a co-star gig in a TV show called Resurrection, which I'm not familiar with. And she's also had time on the Cartoon Network's Adult Swim in a show called Too Many Cooks. So she's had some really interesting stuff for someone who's just 17.
I was going to say, it looks like she's in another TV series also.
Oh, really?
Called Tagged.
Huh.
And the A is the @ symbol, so.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. So it's kind of a hashtag thing. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like a Nickelodeon show or a Family Channel or what, so.
Very cool.
But it's 2016, so it was fairly recently. I don't know if she did that in her off time.
Does it look like it's still going, or is it something that just has a few credits and done?
Yeah, it's got another season, 2017.
Huh? All right.
Yeah, so maybe go check that out along with her EP.
God, so little time. All right, so I couldn't remember if we decided to go with epic fail, or epic fail and epic fail. So I don't know if I'm just a creature looking for comfort right now or what, but I went with Good, Bad, and the Ugly again.
Why not?
I'm sorry, Bri. I like being able to talk about two positive things if in fact there is room for it. So the ugly is a positive, and I like not spending so much time on the bad. So yeah. So what was your good?
My good, and I'm sure this will probably be your good, was Maggie.
No.
Really? Yeah.
Really?
Maggie can, like, it's just the whole episode. Just, I mean, this is the Maggie that we know and love. This is, she's strong, she's outspoken, and not afraid to punch a guy,
That was a great moment.
You just, I mean, you can't keep her down. I mean, she's got the placental abruption, and she still is, climbing through hatches and running over parts of tractors, and so I absolutely, I needed this, with Rick so beaten down and Daryl so beaten down and Glenn and Abraham gone. I really needed some hope, and Maggie gives me hope that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and just everything from her confronting Gregory about when he made that gross comment about
to Sasha.
Yeah, you and I'll have to talk one-on-one about that. And I'm just like, it's funny. There's a fan theory or a theory that's going around that the Walking Dead takes place in the same universe as what's the other A&E show?
Breaking Bad.
It takes place in the same universe as Breaking Bad, and I want to think that Gregory is straight out of Mad Men. So there's my fan theory.
Oh, that is really funny.
But, and then she gets to hit him later, and just, I absolutely loved Maggie this episode, and I really hope to see some more of that, and I really, really wonder what's going to happen if and when Negan finds out that she's not dead. So.
Oh, I think that's going to be a biggie.
Yeah, that might be our mid-season finale, maybe?
Oh, possibly. That's a good thought.
Yeah, so my good was Maggie, all around Maggie.
So I just want to comment. You said that she gave you hope. Mm-hmm. I think that's the reason that I liked the episode in the Kingdom so much. The Well.
Yeah.
Is that for me, that was a really hopeful episode. And even with Carol struggling and being weird and, realizing that Ezekiel and his group are subject to Negan as well. For me, that was still a really hopeful episode. So yeah. I totally get where you're coming from as far as that goes.
Yeah, and she's physically. She's been through a lot, and she's still there physically. I mean, so climbing through the hatch and everything, and mentally she's there when Sasha says that Gregory's an idiot, and Maggie says,
yes.
"No, he's a coward. They're more dangerous."
Yes,
and it clicked, and it was like, she's right. He is a coward, and that is more dangerous than just an idiot.
Yes, that was very good.
Maggie is 100% on point right now, and I loved it.
Cool. Well, I've got to tell you, my good was the interaction between Simon and Gregory. I really enjoyed that. Like I said, I thought Simon was channeling his inner Negan, and he was so gleeful and just so right in your face, like Negan during the whole interaction that he had. I love that, and I think the actor was really great. His name is Stephen Ogg. Yeah. I also thought that of all of the people to hate on this show right now, I just really hate Gregory.
Okay, I was going to ask that. Who's worse, Simon or Gregory?
Oh, I think it's Gregory, hands down.
Me too. Yeah, he's like slimy bad guy in good guy suit.
Gregory makes me want to take a scalding shower with the wire brushes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just, he's disgusting. And the fact that he would just so cavalierly walk over and give up our girls,
Yes. Okay, so I actually missed that on my
Oh,
watch. I think I may have been like up refreshing my drink or something because when I watched it the second time, I totally missed the interaction, the eyes between him and Jesus,
oh, wasn't that great?
and then the scene like right before, like I saw Maggie hit Gregory, but I didn't really get what it was totally about. Like, yeah, I don't know where I was at that point, but I missed that Gregory was giving them up and Jesus totally like hamstringed him with the scotch.
Right. That was awesome
was
too, that he lost all of his scotch. That was awesome. Yep. And then Jesus was pouring it out at the end.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what is your bad?
My bad was and you're going to hate me for this, the Carl and Enid show.
No, I am totally right there with you. I have two things on my bad, and one of them was really roller skating in a zombie apocalypse.
Okay, so really you're going to find two pairs of roller skates that fit both of you perfectly. And do you know how hard it is to roller skate on like uneven ground with like branches?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's just no. And the other thing with the Carl and Enid show, they screwed up their timeline. So we get Maggie and Sasha, where like they buried and blah blah blah, buried Abe and Glenn, and then it's like, okay, they're gonna spend the night, and then the next morning, Negan guys come. Well, the whole Carl and Enid show takes place, and it's never night. They keep flashing back. Yeah, okay. So
I totally was like, where does this fit? Because they should actually be walking at night if this is somehow fitting in.
Right, because Enid gets there right after Negan's guys leave. So it's not like they left Alexandria like really early in the morning and, night happened at some point. It didn't show them camping out or anything. So
yeah, and actually they're still in the process. Negan's guys are still in the process of leaving because that's where they have their little kiss, and she's trying to keep him there using her feminine wiles. Yeah, no, I agree. That was a big stumbling block for me. Just, and Carl being so cool. Like, oh no, I'm really, no, I need to go kill Negan. Really?
Yeah. Well,
Wyatt Twerp.
The whole wrecking of the car, I'm like, that was a perfectly good car with combustible gas in it.
Oh my God, that was so funny though. It was like, I looked at Nick and my husband, and I said, is that Carl? And then we saw the outline of the hat, and he was like, yes, it's Carl.
He wrecked a perfectly good car for no reason.
He did, and while there are probably plenty of good cars in the apocalypse, I would agree with you that gas is quite scarce.
Yeah, combustible gas. I mean, gas does lose its oomph, Just leave it in your snow blower for a year and try and start it the next year.
We might have to explain to some of the listeners what a snowblower is.
It's a lawnmower for snow.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That is a totally Real Housewives thing of Alaska. Yep. Okay, so what else was in your bad?
Yeah, it was just the Carl and Enid show. That was my only bad.
So mine was also the Hilltop's response to the gates being open and the walkers pouring in. I mean, seriously, Nick and I were sitting there going, is it really real that only Maggie and Sasha are the ones who are up, awake, and freaking out right now? Really?
Well, what I didn't get in the beginning is I was like, why are they locked in? Like, why did Hilltop lock them in? Right. And then Simon comes and he's like, yeah, we totally did that. And so did Simon's crew go around and lock everyone's doors and windows from the outside somehow?
I am not sure.
Because the only reason why Jesus was able to help them is he was staying in the second story of the main house.
And he scaled down.
Right. And so maybe not everyone was ambulatory enough, and willing to go through the hatches in their little trailers or whatever. But it seemed like everyone was locked in. I don't think they targeted just Sasha I guess that was Jesus' trailer.
Well, and so the other thing, honestly, initially, is that I wasn't quite sure that the Saviors were behind it. I thought, is this some jackass thing that Gregory is doing? Because, he's going to demonstrate to Maggie and Sasha how powerful he is, so he's going to evacuate everyone and open the gates and set things on fire. I mean, it was not entirely clear initially.
I did not expect Hilltop to be leave themselves that vulnerable that somebody could just sneak in the middle of the night, open up these big loud gates, pull this car in, and light a bunch of fires before anybody woke up. I mean, I'm a light sleeper, it is, but in the zombie apocalypse, I think I'm going to be pretty hyper awake.
Although, I do have to say the candy apple green gremlin was pretty cool.
I have something about the gremlin a little later. We'll go into that.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, I loved the gremlin.
I'm going to say that my ugly good was the same as your good. So I just thought that Maggie was such a badass, even at half steam, that I actually thought, for me, she deserved even bigger than just good. That's why I made her my ugly. She was so steely. I mean, that was the thing that was really amazing. She may get more emotional later as things kind of settle out. She had a couple of moments of emotion, like waking up and asking if she had lost the baby or not. But for the most part, she was very solid, very mature, very steely is the only word I can come up with. Just in terms of, I'm here and I'm going to handle this.
Yeah.
And I totally loved her comment about the farm girl running over some geeky boy in high school.
His Camaro.
Right.
Yeah, that was great.
Right.
Yeah. This is the Maggie that her dad intended her to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how super sad that it's taken everything that character has experienced to get her there.
She has lost everyone but that baby so far. I mean, she lost her dad, she lost her sister, she lost her husband. I mean, wow. What do you have left at that point?
Yeah, not a lot. A steel spine.
Pretty much. Talk about trial by fire, tempered steel.
Yeah.
So if I guess I do kind of have an ugly. It's
okay,
not,
go for it.
It's not good or bad though. It's a question.
Okay.
Why does Sasha want to stay in Hilltop so badly?
Well, this plays into what we were talking about Brian's late discovery that I figured we'd talk about in a little bit. Maybe she wants to avoid Rosita. Maybe she doesn't want that drama. Maybe it's because Abe is buried at Hilltop.
Yeah.
But the other thing is she has also really set herself up as being Maggie's protector. And if Maggie's in Hilltop, then Sasha's going to be in Hilltop.
That's very true, because she's willing to not be in Hilltop to put Maggie in Hilltop with the doctor. And Sasha, before her and Abe started their little thing that they had for a while, she was pretty checked out already. So I think after her brother died, I don't think she feels very tethered to any one group. And one group is just as good as another as long as it's not Negan's group. So.
Right.
But it was, I was just like, she is really campaigning for Maggie to stay in Hilltop and for her to stay. And I was like, they don't know the story that Alexandria told Negan. So, and I understand why Hilltop wants to keep him hidden, because they don't want to be associated with what Rick's group did. But she was campaigning really hard to stay in and to get at least Maggie to stay there. And I'm like, does she know that they were going to say that Maggie was dead? So
I don't think so. I think it's more safety for Maggie, commitment to Maggie having this baby, commitment to doing anything it takes to make sure that Maggie is safe.
Yeah.
But, that kind of leads us to rotten potpourri.
Rotten potpourri.
So, the first thing I guess that would be the thing to comment on is that Brian correctly identified that the necklace that was Jesus gave to Sasha was actually a necklace that Rosita had made for Abraham.
Yes, it was dropped by Abraham when they first went into Hilltop. He lost it like the day after Rosita gave it to him.
Really? I didn't know that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I just figured that they found it on his person when he was killed, but that's even cooler.
No, yeah, I specifically, actually, I remember it because, like I said, he was being such a porch dick to Rosita. I'm like, she goes and makes him this gift and genuinely gives him this nice thing, that to remember the two of them because it's part of the broken taillight from their truck or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he goes and loses it like the next day, and he's not even concerned about it. So I was just like, porch dick. But then I also read an article today that pointed it out that he lost it. So I was like, okay, I do remember that correctly.
So, kind of leading into another of my rotting potpourri things, did you feel like there was some shipping going on?
What do you mean?
I really felt like there were hints that kind of was like, if this wasn't such a terrible time and their loss wasn't so fresh, Jesus might be making the moves on one of the girls. Well, but there were a couple of times that I was like, Maggie or Sasha? Maggie.
Yeah.
I totally got that vibe. So listeners,
I got that vibe too.
Did you get that vibe? Are we the only ones who are shipping? Because I think Jesus is just biding his time.
Yeah. The great thing about a pregnant chick is you can't knock her up. So.
Oh, God.
No, that is a genuine concern now that prophylactics are scarce.
That is freaking hilarious. Oh my God.
See what happens when I'm hopped up on cold medicine?
Maybe I need to take some. Okay, so you lead me to another thing, which was that as the resident medical professional, I really felt like I should talk about placental abruption or placenta abruptio. Yeah. So, I didn't realize this because I try to steer clear of OB. Really, truly, if you're walking at me and you have a pregnant belly, I'm going to direct you to the OB unit. I don't want to see you. But apparently, placental abruption actually is most common in the third trimester of pregnancy. And the way that they treat it is at minimum fetal monitoring the heart rate of the baby. And what they usually will do is, if it's safe, they'll do a C-section or a labor induction, because when the placenta peels away from the wall of the uterus, the baby is actually at risk of not getting enough nutrients or enough oxygen. So there's high risk of injury or mortality as far as the baby goes. So I thought it was super interesting that they kind of played that card so young or so early in Maggie's pregnancy, because we were talking before we came on, and it's like she looks like she's still in her first trimester.
Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting, though, is, they had that quiz on The Talking Dead where they were asking what she had been diagnosed with, and placenta previa was one of the options that they gave. And several people, I think actually the majority of the people who were playing that game went for placenta previa, and that's much more common in early pregnancy.
Huh.
It's usually found
What's the difference?
So the abruption is where the placenta pulls away from the wall of the uterus. A placenta previa is like the way that the placenta, bear with me guys, because again, I'm not an OB provider, but the way that the placenta lays over the os, the opening of the cervix, it's like more risky. It's not placed quite right, and it does increase risk of a miscarriage. It's definitely something that needs to be monitored.
I'm just wondering if our post-apocalyptic OBGYN is not correct in his diagnosis, maybe.
Well, it's pretty basic for an OBGYN, so I'm sure hoping that this guy knows what he's talking about. Me, wanting to stay the hell away from baby. Yeah, but
we were looking up the stats, and we were talking, and placenta abruptio is very rare. It's like 1 in 200,000, which I pointed out is probably the population of the United States at this point. Okay, living population.
Here's the other thing, which is kind of interesting. I just looked up placenta previa because, again, really try not to be an OBGYN. Placenta previa risk factors: previous delivery, age older than 35, history of multiple surgeries such as a C-section. And what happens is the placenta covers the opening of the cervix completely. So I had it sort of wrong. And it can have similar bleeding, but it's usually painless.
Ah, okay. And she had severe pain.
Yeah. So a placenta, I'm sorry guys, I'm getting way too detailed. I obviously need some cold medicine. Basically, a previa is also dangerous. It can be treated, but it happens a little earlier in pregnancy typically. But they're both rare. They're both 1 in 200,000, and they're both treatable.
With bed rest, not like getting on a tractor and running over a gremlin.
Or crawling up ladders and out of ceiling hatches, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, hiding in closets in terror and then getting out and punching them.
So I'm sorry, that was a really long diversion for people who don't care about OBGYN and pregnancy.
And thus ended the conception in the post-apocalyptic world with Dianne. Dr. Dianne.
No, Dr. Denise is way cooler and way smarter. And I'm not a doctor, just for those of you who know that I'm pretending to play one on TV. So what did you have in your writing potpourri?
So the gremlin.
Yeah, so go for it. Tell us about the gremlin.
So I thought it was an interesting choice that they chose the car, a gremlin, which was a really cool little car. I mean, did you see all the reinforcements that thing had?
I did.
It had wire and stuff over its windows. I mean, I don't know if that was initially done to be someone's vehicle to get away from zombies, or if it was done so that people couldn't get in and turn off the music. But so instead of a little Civic hatchback or something, they chose to put in a gremlin, which I thought meant something. Which, when you think of gremlins, you think of cute little mogwais and stuff from
that you don't want to feed after midnight.
Right. In modern times, we think of those, but gremlins actually have a lot of lore and mythology surrounding them. And they were initially thought of as mischievous gnome-like demons. And they were impish creatures with a penchant for mischief and mayhem. And they were well known for their troublemaking as it related to electricity and mechanics.
Oh my God, it's the saviors. They're all gremlins.
I just thought it was funny. This little green car was a gremlin, and it heard its blaring music that nobody can shut off. So it's like Hilltop was invaded by a little gremlin.
That is hilarious.
I just thought it was interesting that they chose I'm not a car aficionado. I'm like the guy from Sin City, Marv, who thinks that all modern cars look like electric shavers. I can't tell one from another nowadays, So, but immediately I was like, "That's a gremlin." That's a pretty iconic car.
It's a pretty obvious car. Even I, again, not a car aficionado, was like, "That's a gremlin."
And so it saddened me also to watch the Talking
a classic
Dead
car.
And then they flattened it, and not only did they flatten it, but they were like, "Our first one," and I'm like, "You flattened more than one?" So yeah, that was I thought that was interesting that they chose the gremlin. It kind of I think that was a little Easter egg that I'm wondering if there's going to be a DVD outtake that ha 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 it's a gremlin, you know. And then the painting.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so the painting is the equestrian portrait of Charles V, that was actually done by a guy named Anthony Van Dyke.
That's
Van
cool.
Dyke?
I actually thought it was totally a Civil War painting. So cool.
No, so the painting. If you look up equestrian portrait of Charles V, you will come across a different painting. It's done. That one is done by Titan in 1548, but a lesser known one was the one that was hanging in Gregory's office, was done by Anthony Van Dyke in 1620, and it's actually hanging in a museum in Italy. So I don't know how it got into Hilltop.
Well, I thought it was super cool that the Talking Dead gave that away as their gift.
Yes, that was amazing. That was amazing. But I thought it was interesting that there's got to be some sort of correlation, and maybe it was just somebody's preference or so. I don't know.
Well,
but,
I think the guy on the horse kind of looks like Gregory, so I always just assumed it was a vanity piece for Gregory.
Well, Charles V was the Holy Roman Emperor, and then Beethoven's Symphony Number 9. Second movement. Beethoven was born in the Holy Roman Empire, the capital of the Holy Roman Empire. Say that 5 times fast on cold. So I thought it was a weird little tie-in that the subject of the painting and the composer of the music that was blaring came from the same area, and there was a lot of very Italian and Roman overtones, and so. I thought that was an interesting little tie-in, and I would love to know the story behind that, because there has to be one that they chose Symphony Number 9 second movement, because it's actually the shortest of the 4 movements of that symphony. The first movement, the third movement, and the fourth movement are between 16 and 24 minutes, and the second movement is only 12 minutes long. So they chose the shortest one to put on repeat in the Gremlin.
Well, super cool find.
Yeah. Weird little facts with Marnell. That's what I'm looking for. I'll take Holy Roman Empire for 500 out.
So another thing for me was the reappearance and the claiming and repatriation of Herschel's watch. You know that.
Yes. Did you see how many times it had changed hands?
Yeah, I can't remember. Was that on Talking Dead? I think it
was.
It's gone through like 7 people.
Yeah, like 7 or 9.
Yeah. But I just thought that Gregory pocketing it was so horrid, and of course it reminded me of that scene in Terminus. And it was so satisfying to have Maggie punch him and swipe that back out of his pocket.
Yeah, it definitely was. And that seems like such a slimy Gregory thing to do, is to steal from someone's grave. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that just... Ugh.
And for anybody who is getting Eagle Moss figurines, a couple of months ago they sent us a replica of Herschel's watch.
Oh.
Yeah. A functional replica. I haven't taken the little tab out of mine that gets the battery going, but yeah, kind of cool. This month we got Eugene, T-Dog, and Rick's sheriff's badge.
Pocket watches are cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll start collecting like pocket watches from series, because they got some cool Doctor Who ones out too. So
there you go, man.
There you go. So Rick and Michonne showed some genuine emotion.
Thank God.
Right? Like, that was seriously like the quelling of a long dry spell. That was, yeah.
Well, and I thought Rick's thank you was kind of odd and completely understandable all at the same time. She, even though he's really beaten down, she's acknowledging him as more than just the defeated Rick.
Yeah. Yeah. Where do you think she's going?
I don't
We're
know.
We're excited north, so
we have to tie Tara back in somehow, and it looks like she's going to be brought back in the next episode. We still have to tie the kingdom and all of these other communities together. So
well,
is she part of one of those things?
have you watched any of the Next on besides the one that played on The Talking Dead?
No.
What's the black guy with the dreads, the glasses?
Oh no, Heath.
Heath.
That's right. Heath is still out there with Tara too. I totally forgot.
Heath and Tara were together talking in the Winnebago. She's like, we've been out here, or he's like, we've been out here for 2 weeks. Let's just go back. And she's like, we can't go back empty-handed. So I'm kind of thinking based on that one, and then Tara washing up on the shore, that she kind of goes her own way.
Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be really interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing her get brought back in. And I have to say, I said to Nick again, because we watched it together the other night, she has lost so much and she doesn't even know.
Yeah, that's true. But so one of our groups that's going out to scavenge has to come upon either Kingdom or some people from Kingdom, just like Carol and what's his name?
Morgan.
Carol and Morgan did. Either Kingdom's going to find them or they're going to find Kingdom.
So, question: do you think the woman and then the younger girl are from the Kingdom? The people who find.
I kind of want to say yes, except for the whole only a select few in Kingdom know about Negan's men, and I don't know that they're just letting people wander off willy-nilly unless the wherever Tara washes up, unless that's part of Kingdom, unless that's part of their territory.
Well, those characters had a really different look than anything we've seen before. I mean, I thought they looked almost a little primitive.
Yeah.
Like Celts, like Celtic peoples before Britain was civilized.
Yeah, they definitely did. They didn't have that kind of medieval kingdom looking. Yeah.
No, they had we are Celtic and we're going to kick King Arthur's butt and kick him out of here. Yeah. That was the look that they had.
Well, and Alexandria seems to be the only people who thought that they were alone. Maybe these people in Kingdom trade, or maybe they at least know of each other.
That's true. So, that's true. Well, I mean, in the comic book arc, this is an arc called the Larger World, or I'm pretty sure that's what they call it. And they've made that reference in ads for last season and this season for the television show. So it'll be interesting to know if that's another community entirely.
Yeah, that's very true. Let's see. One of my other rotting potpourris was Jesus.
I feel kind of bad that I didn't really put him anywhere in terms of good, bad, ugly, because he really was pretty freaking cool in this episode.
I just loved his whole, I'm going to kick off from the side of one of the trailers and roundhouse kick a walker in the face. Kung Fu Jesus for the win.
Well, and I have to say, I love that he finds Carl in the box van.
Yeah, and he kind of smiles.
In there is an arc like this in the comic book, but it's only Carl. So it's really fun to think about what kind of mischief the two of them might get up to together.
Oh, definitely. Why do you think he doesn't want to lead? He's sort of been go along to get along, kind of. And he knows that Gregory does not inspire much confidence as a leader for anybody, but he has been okay with Gregory remaining in power.
I don't have a good answer for that. I mean, I remember Gregory saying, to be a part of this community, to lead, you'd have to be here. And so what is his backstory? Does he have some backstory that makes him more of a loner?
Well, he did say that when he came to Hilltop, everyone had already kind of put Gregory into power. So he did, he thought, okay, whatever you guys think. So he's not native to Hilltop. So was he just kind of like, I'm an outsider and I don't know if I'm going to stay here. So, but you know, he is seeing at this point that there are better alternatives. And, you know, of course, I'm sure he's going to back Maggie as a leader.
Absolutely.
When the time comes. But if Maggie goes back to Alexandria to lead there, is he going to take over Hilltop? I mean, I think that the people who are reluctant to lead are usually the best people to do it.
I don't think that Maggie is going to go back to Alexandria.
Okay, spoiler alert for the comic books. Isn't that the way it is there?
Yes, spoiler alert.
Okay.
You know, but the other thing is, I have to say that your comment is really bringing up for me, and I hadn't thought of it before, is I really would like more of a backstory on Jesus. Maybe we'll get there.
Yeah, because I know when Negan became a popular character in the books, they actually were kind of forced to write a backstory for him. So maybe if Jesus becomes the new Daryl, they will have to write a backstory.
The new Daryl. I mean, did you watch the feedback on The Talking Dead? People were swooning. Not just women.
And I'm gonna have to go back and look at his last season facial hair. I knew it was fake then, but I had completely forgotten, and all of his hair and his facial hair are real to him now. So
yep.
I'm gonna have to go back and do the comparison to see how well they did the fake facial hair last season. But
they did an okay job, and I have to be honest, okay enough that I didn't realize until they were teasing him on Talking Dead that his facial hair was now new.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So you mentioned Carl in the back of the van.
Carl.
So I saw a headline today that said, "Are we setting Carl up for a big disappointment?" We started the episode off with Carl being a bad aim. The darts, he was low and to the left. So
he's just going to have to learn how to compensate for his visual changes.
Yeah. I actually, it's funny. I shoot a pistol, and I have my left eye looks slightly inward, and my brain has actually turned it off to where I don't see double. So I even though each eye has 20/20 vision after my LASIK surgery, I do not have 20/20 vision with both eyes together because I can't look directly at something, and I can actually concentrate and make myself see double because my eyes look in two slightly different directions. And it's subtle enough that like people don't see it unless I point it out to them and look directly at them, and you'll see that one of my eyes turn inward. And I'm actually super good aim. So Carl just needs to practice.
Well, you know, Carl's had a lot go on.
I don't know. Sasha found time. No, Michonne found time. That's who it was. Maybe Michonne and Carl can go bond over shooting.
There you go. They're pretty tight anyway, so that's possible.
So they made it obvious to point out that Carl, his depth perception is off. Is that going to play into any interaction with Negan? It has to. He's going to kill Negan, and they made it a point to say he's a terrible shot.
He's not going to kill Negan. It's too easy.
Well, no, he's not going to kill Negan, but is he going to try and get low to the left? Is he going to, get Negan in the shoulder?
I'm going to plead the fifth because I know some of the story arc for the comic book, and I don't want to. I just don't know.
Right. But there's the comic books, and then there's what's going on the show, and they take liberty a lot. So I'm just wondering, was that something in the comics that his aim was off in the beginning when he lost his eye?
You know, I honestly don't remember. I mean, I'm still not all the way through the All Out War arc, and I just don't have a clear enough memory of Carl's role to know if that even was significant.
Bold prediction.
Go for it.
Carl is gonna try and miss. And because we have a relationship again with Enid and Carl, Negan's going to kill Enid. Because you can't have a relationship in the one of you is going to die.
Oh my god. You know, I don't have any bold predictions. Not right now. I think I'm
only half joking because I really don't think they'll kill Enid off. But, you know, it's a possibility. I mean, nobody gets out alive.
You know, and don't give me the they won't kill a kid argument, because I just want to say Lizzie. Well, young lady, I told you I was going to hold you to an hour, and I'm going to do it.
Well, that's pretty good timing, because I think that is the end of my notes.
All right. Well, just take it one dead day at a time. We always pause. Why do we pause?
Because we're waiting for the other one to catch up.
All right. Have a good week, and we'll talk soon.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
That's right. Enjoy time with your family.
Yes. Try not to talk politics.
Yeah.
Be nice to each other.
And if it's not safe, because you all are going to tear each other apart over politics, find a safe space and do that this year. There's always next year.
Talk about The Walking Dead.
There you go.
Yeah. Brian
and I agree on things. It's proof positive that The Walking Dead brings people together.
Right?
All right.
All right.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.